Welcome back to the SaaS Factor. Today, we have the inspiring speaker, author, advocate, and business leader, Margo Wickersham. Thank you so much for joining us today, Margo.
It is absolutely my pleasure to be here. I'm so glad to be here.
All right, Margo, we love the whole situation, the costume. So we have to start with the name, the Revenue Detective. Sounds like you're solving a money mystery in a trench coat with a magnifying glass. So can you tell us a little bit about what it means and what kind of revenue crimes you're actually investigating?
It's a really good question. For this, I will take off my sunglasses and explain that as I began rolling out my consulting business, I realized that in looking at my wins across the years, across the industries, the spectrums, the ecosystems, that the theme running throughout was not marketing or sales. It was, in fact, revenue. It was finding revenue opportunities, and sometimes they're not in marketing or sales. Occasionally, they're in operations,
Right.
customer service. There's a number of different places they can hide. And mostly when leaders are looking to grow their company, they look at sales and marketing. And so they're very much operating from a blind spot perspective. We all have them. There's no shame in that. It's just that you sometimes need another set of eyes so that you can find things that are lurking and hiding right beneath the surface often, that can save some money or be the one piece of the puzzle that fits together so that you can grow in through sales or marketing, but sometimes it's operations or other problems. So that's why I came up with the Revenue Detective. I'm here to find the clues and the causes of revenue leaks or blocks to sales or blocks to referrals, or find out what the problem is and solve that, not just throw more money at advertising necessarily.
I love that. You're like the new era Carmen San Diego.
Margo, as a published author and respected speaker, you often highlight gratitude. How have you seen it influence both personal well being as well as professional growth?
In my book, which I wrote about how I used this gratitude practice to get me through a really tough time. This was 2020 during my the quarantine phase of my bladder cancer journey. So I was in the hospital overnight for 3 nights, every other week for 8 weeks by myself. No
Wow.
one could set foot in the hospital because we were in the middle of quarantine. It was just
Oh,
horrific. And then I was in the hospital for a week when I had major surgery and no one could be in there. So just imagine a week in the hospital with no one ever coming to see you, and the worst food ever and the worst TV and all of that.
And the pandemic going on where
And
exactly.
we
the
don't know
bad.
what's going on. Oh
So
my goodness. I'm
scary.
sorry.
So I journaled through that process. There was a pivotal moment in the hospital when I laid on my side. There was no comfortable position. The mattresses are this thick.
Mhm.
They're coming in every hour, it seems like, to pokey, prodgy, weigh you. And I felt like giving up for the first time. And I am typically a sunny, positive, glasses half full kind of a gal. But if you feel that badly, it's time to play the grateful game. And so I started with little things like, I'm glad I get to come to MD Anderson, even though it's by myself. I'm glad the cancer chose me and not one of my kids, because a lot of kids have to deal with cancer and the parents would all rather have it than their kids have it. Not like that's how it works, but I know the feeling. So I just started with really basic and small things, a really extreme set of personal challenges um, got me to do an extreme set of gratitude practices. And that ended up kind of restoring my gratitude practice. It had kind of wandered off or petered out. So that became very, very useful and just totally a coping skill that got me through all of that. And the year kept giving me punches that year. Meanwhile, I continued to journal and focus on gratitude. My mother died. I couldn't go see her before she died because we were in quarantine.
Oh my goodness.
It was, and then our dog died, and then my father-in-law died, and we were
Oh
still in
my
2020. And I
goodness.
thought, honestly, this year needs to just knock it off. So I thought about naming my book. COVID wasn't in my top three because it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I wanted to focus on the gratitude part of it. And so by having to dig deep in a really dark and hard moment and set of challenges in my life, I reignited the gratitude and the access to the gratitude game. And then I started using it in work as well. And I have found that sharing the message seems to be helpful to anyone in any situation.
Yeah.
And whenever things are going awry, which basically they always are somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um, During the pandemic, that was a challenge for many business owners. I mean, most of us were dealing with things are really different, and we didn't know what was going to happen. And so I would share my gratitude practice with friends, peers, and that resonated so deeply with people. They would tell me they were in tears, that it was so helpful to hear this, and it gave them hope. And that's the idea, is that gratitude is a path to hope, because when you're in despair, you don't see a path to hope. Usually that's why you feel in despair. And it's a way to remind ourselves we always have this instant way to see that there is a path to hope, even when it feels like there's not. So it's a reminder that we get to choose that. It felt so good to help people at a variety of different places in life access gratitude to help them through anything personal or business. I mean, our lives are intertwined all throughout the day and the night, and it's not like gratitude is only useful for personal things. So I did find that it has helped not only myself find ways to get through tough times, but also it plays out really well for leaders if they can use gratitude practice. If they can use that gratitude practice to help themselves lead, they can be more patient, they can be more better listeners, better at active listening, more compassionate. And I would say that those things are all incredibly welcome at this point in time in our culture.
Yeah,
So,
gratitude's such an interesting thing. I remember when I first started dating my now husband, he always had these reminders on his phone every day that said, give gratitude reminder. And I was always
oh,
like, what is that? And each day he would find like 3 people that he was grateful for and send notes to them individually. And he still does that. That reminder is still on his phone to this day. And that's just one of those, like, I mean, made me fall in love with him. It's like so sweet. So
that is really, really cool.
Switching gears a little bit, Margo, tell us about the work that you're doing with Tex Health.
In a nutshell, they provide a subsidy with non tax dollars to qualifying employees of small businesses. Qualifying means they don't earn over a certain amount. So they're in the gap that happens between, they're not poverty, but they're not able to afford the insurance. And small businesses, by the nature of this industry, as you all know, have the worst the worst options. So it made a lot of sense for them to put this together. It's a 3-tier payment system. So TexHealth reimburses the employee a third of the payment. The employee pays a third, and their employer pays a third. So that just makes the difference in being able to afford health insurance and actually enroll versus not.
mhm.
And I thought, that's a good group for me to help. I really want to um, spend some time and put some real energy into that. So I did, and used all of my marketing background to write to help recreate and update the messaging. We redid the website. We're beefing up the LinkedIn and social media presence. We're creating videos. We ran a survey, and what I love about surveys is this gives us an opportunity to say, don't let me tell you, let the actual clients tell you. And what
Yeah.
we heard from the clients, and these would be the employees of the client is the company. The employees said 42% of them were able to enroll because of the subsidy. That's a massive change
Wow.
for $110 a month. It's not that much. It's not like a whole cost of a policy. It's not like Medicare.
Right.
So I love that. And I don't know of a more efficient way to increase enrollment for people who work for small businesses. We have a low minimum wage in this state. And as a result, we have the highest uninsured rate in the country. The highest. We're number one for
Wow.
that. And the eighth largest economy in the world. The
Way.
world.
That is
Yeah.
insane to think about.
So when I found this out, I said to the board, I think that is an amazing message that we need to get out, because what we're doing is helping move the needle on the number of working Texans that are enrolled. And for there to be just this bit of subsidy that can make a difference between enrolling and not enrolling, that is a really great feeling. And they are very appreciative to have this option available. I just testified to a Senate subcommittee Monday for a House bill to allow us to go statewide, 254, I think, counties in Texas. Right now we're in 10. And if this passes, then we don't need to go county to county to ask each commissioner of insurance to allow us. We can then go full force across the state. And most workers work for small companies. You guys probably know that.
Right.
So it's a big struggle for the employers. It's a big struggle for the employees. And this is one of many silver bullets we need. It's going to take a multi-plan approach to solve this problem. But I don't know of a more cost-effective way to increase the enrollment for working Texans. So I am having a ball. I am loving it. It feels really great to be part of getting the word out there, because we've got a great story to tell that not a lot of people know about.
Well, we appreciate you joining us on the SAS Factor, Margo. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience and motivation. We look forward to more discussions soon, and thanks again for joining us.
Thanks so much. I'm happy to come back anytime. You guys are a lot of fun.